Jai Shri Shri Prabhupada Jivanamritam Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai has given us the beautiful gift, life nectar of the surrendered souls. And Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, who has given us a living example of Prabhupada Jivanamritam.
Jai.
Okay, so yeah, we're on this one, 2021. Yes. Okay. So, okay. Who knows acceptance of the favorable? What's the Sanskrit? Sankalpa. Yes, very good. And then, what section is this? The words of the devotees, the nectarine words of the devotees. Yes, Bhakti Vachanamritam, yes. Okay, super. So we're on Sloka 21. We just heard from Bilva Mangala Thakur, Raghupati Upadhyaya, Yamunacharya, several from Yamunacharya, Prabodhananda Saraswati, and of course Kulashekar Maharaj. So he's calling on the Alwars, who were predecessors to Sri Ramanujacharya, and Guru of Ramanujacharya, Jamunacharya. So Guru Maharaj is showing us how devotional feeling and realization is, spread throughout the sampradayas. So, okay, this is the explanation of the sloka that we'll be reading by Saraswati Thakur. This is the translation into English. He's written a 4-line explanation, very lengthy, about double the size of the Sanskrit sloka itself. So, this is the translation. When Krishna's name, form, nature, and pastimes divine are heard from Sri Gurudev, one's heart awakens in song. As pure chanting ensues, remembrance is attained. Thus, chanting and remembering step by step, assent is gained. Those engaging tongue and mind who begin to relish nectar, adore Sri Krishna, following the residents of Braja, reside always in Braja within the heart's devotion. Surely you must accept this nectar of instruction. This is Rupa Goswami, translated and kind of developed by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Oh, and yes, I forgot Srila Guru Maharaj's introduction, which is the path to devotion in the Vrindavan conception. Tatra bhajana padatihi. And Guru Maharaj gives that translation. The path to devotion, tatra bhajana padatihi, in the Vrindavan conception. Okay, the sloka by Srila Rupa Goswami. Tannama Rupa Chantanu Smritya Kramena Roshana Manasi Niyojya Tishtam Braje Tad Anuragi Janugami Kalam Nayed Apilam Idyupadesha Sarha. Sri Rupa Padanam. Goswami has given this to us. It doesn't say where it's from, but Rupa Goswami has given so much. So, first of all, Srila Saraswati Thakur translates it. When we hear about Krishna, his divine name, form, nature, and pastimes, when we hear them from Sri Gurudev, the heart awakens in song. So it means that the heart starts to really feel what Krishna consciousness is. And Shri Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Gurudharju Ki Jai. So the heart awakens in song, because in the spiritual world everyone sings, everyone dances. They don't walk and talk like we do here. It's a whole different atmosphere. So the heart awakens in song. And how? Simply by the grace of Srila Gurudev, who gives us some experience of the name, form, nature, and pastimes divine of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As pure chanting ensues, remembrance is attained. So, of course, the key is pure chanting. But as we, as we progress in our chanting, and as we meditate more and more on the, the quality, the calling out, the deep, like heartfelt, maggia, calling out in that, as much as we can, feeling that intensity, loyam, desperation. The more we call out in that way, the more we will have some remembrance. It will come, naturally. And what does Saraswati Thakur says? Thus, chanting and remembering, step by step, ascent is gained. So step by step, we hear, we remember, we chant, and the crux here is we hear from Sri Gurudev. So according to the direction of Sri Gurudev, we hear. It's not as though we go off and read any old book and think we can actually understand what the content is or get remembrance through it. There's wide varieties of books from the Gaudiya Vaishnava line, but our understanding only will come from Sri Guru. Again and again and again, we have to hear this, because we don't really clearly know or understand, but it's really happening, that the transmission, the real substance of Krishna consciousness comes from the heart of Guru to the heart of devotee. And the scripture, what's the word? Enlivens, enhances, empowers that transmission. The scripture is there, given by Kaviraj Goswami, but for, it's not really accessible in a real way for people who are contaminated. But for people who are pure, it's accessible. So people who are pure, the actual Vaishnavas, they can open the scripture to us. Otherwise, we really don't have access. So again, this is what Saraswati Thakur is saying. He's talking about the form, name, nature, pastimes, divine of Krishna. But he's qualifying it by saying it comes from Sri Guru. So based on our particular necessity of service, according to the vision of Sri Guru, things are revealed to us, and we are able to contact the nature and pastimes of the Supreme Lord and the name. So this is the real process. Then he goes on, engaging the tongue and the mind, and who begin to relish nectar, adore Sri Krishna, following the residence of Braja. So we relish nectar, but as we understand, that relishment is secondary. It's like a secondary, what's the word? It accompanies the devotion. It's something that happens as a result of the devotion. It's not our aim, but as a result of tasting that nectar, we are able to, leave behind the temporary world. So in the beginning, it's fine to think, oh, I want to get the nectar, I want to get the nectar, that's what I need. Because we're so caught up in personal motivation, we have to practically engage that personal motivation. That at a certain stage, we have to confront the fact that we're, contaminated with personal desires and motivation. And even those desires that are connected with Krishna consciousness have to be, given up or transferred into our desire simply to serve and be a servant of the Lord. And of course, the only way we can serve the Lord is through Sri Guru. So then, bringing it to the highest stage, he talks about that these pure Vaishnavas who are always remembering Krishna, they will always reside in Braja, within the heart's devotion. Surely you must accept this nectar of instruction. Upadesha Shara is called. Ityupadesha Shara. You must accept this nectar of instruction. So, Rupa is saying Upadesh, and this is the beginning and the culmination of Upadesh. You first start to hear, Shabranam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, then you start to remember. And through that remembrance, step by step, Saraswati Thakur says, by the grace of Guru, development appears, development comes. So the whole thing is laid out by our predecessor acharyas, and the capacity to enter into these things is just our capacity to appeal to their transcendental mercy. So this kind of mood has to be developed. Like I said, there are, and our gurus have told us again and again, every guru has told us, there's like first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, so it's not as though we don't progress to different positions, that we're always in a particular stage. It's not like that. We have to progress, and we have to progress to the stage of, actually understanding my motive is to surrender and to thereby die to live. This is the teaching of Srila Maharaj. Now you have to jump into the fight, jump into the struggle against the illusory energy, and understand we are conditioned, we are contaminated, and we have to fight it. And as we're, simultaneously, from the beginning, we think this material world is not our home. It's no place for a gentleman. We don't appreciate it. We don't like it. It's not a good place to be. We don't like to suffer. It's like, ultimately we may have to leave that behind, but the underlying principle of that is, an important part of our development, as we understand from Srila Guru Maharaj clearly. Simultaneously, we have the understanding and the opportunity to develop the vision that Krishna is always with us, that the material world is illusory, but Krishna has arranged the illusion in such a way so that everything will point to his service and his surrender. So we can see in our lives, wherever we are, working on our job or driving somewhere, that Krishna is doing things. He's behind it. And if we can't see that, it's just due to our own lack of vision. So those two things. The material world is not our home, and simultaneously, Krishna is everywhere. He's here. He'll help us. Okay. This one's a really long explanation by Saraswati Thakur. Yeah, this is about the ontology, the ontological development of our understanding based on place, location. So, you know, we'll get into it tomorrow, but it's quite amazing that ontologically, it means like what will develop in a kind of final sense in spiritual life. For us, that final consciousness, that level of consciousness has form, you know, location, action, everything is contained in, you know, consciousness. It's not just being. It's a full existence that you know, that manifests. Like right now, our existence is manifest by our thinking we're the temporary body, we're the mind, we're the intelligence, we're the soul, and thinking that everything around us is meant to serve that. So in a way, we have, you know, we've done the same thing, only in a distorted way, in a dreamlike way. We've created with our mind a whole world that's a reflection of the real world. So, you know, naturally, that real world has got everything that's here except it's transcendental, and it's all manifest from pure consciousness, which has its origin in the devotion, love, dedication, full spirit of giving of Srimati Radharani. So anyway, we'll look at that ontology tomorrow. That will be text 22. Shri Prabhupada Jivanamritam Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Ras Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Mat Acharya Brinda Ki Jai. Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Okay. So now it's describing how when Krishna desires to come to this world, he brings his whole family with him, and all his associates, and they all, many of them take birth before him to, you know, prepare the way. So Kaviraj Goswami is describing that, beginning in text number 94. He's already outlined how Advaita Acharya is an incarnation of the Lord. Then before describing his coming to the material world, a place limited by time and space and location and thought, but with coming into that world in a way that is completely unlimited, not limited by the surroundings. So his appearance is just radiant. It's, you know, it contains all of the qualities which attract us in this world. So something beautiful we're attracted to. You know, something with intelligence we're attracted to. Something with strength we're attracted to. Strength, fame. Someone who's very famous we're attracted to. So these are Krishna's qualities. So when that personality descends, poof, There it is. Everything is right there. And, for those who are completely averse to the presence of the Supreme Lord, they may not see him. But even those who have a small, sense of connection with the Lord, they'll be overwhelmed. And this is the presence of Mahaprabhu has just been described. Now, Kaviraj Goswami is talking about those who come with him. Thus, respectable personalities, such as his father, mother, and spiritual master, all take birth on earth first. Pita, Mata, Guru, Adi, Yata, Manya, Garna. Pratame, Korena, Sabara, Priti, Vite, Janama. Okay. Pita, father, Pita, Mata, mother, Guru, spiritual master. And, these are headed by the spiritual master, and other respectable members, Manya Gana, and Pratana, they come first, Pratame first. Okay, Pritiviti on the earth, and Janame, they take birth. Okay, so Madhava Ishwara Puri Ch.Ch Jagannatha Advaita Acharya Prakata Hoila Se Sata. Okay. Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri, Srimati Sachimata, and Srila Jagannath Mishra all appeared with Sri Advaita Acharya. So Srila Prabhupada tells us in purport, just summarizes how all these different personalities, names them all, how they descended, how Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri, they also came, the gurus. So yeah, Mahaprabhu, Parshara Ki Jai. Okay. Next one, 96. Advaita Acharya, having appeared, he found the world devoid of devotional service to Sri Krishna because people were engrossed in material affairs. Prakatiya deke acharya sakala samsara. Krishna bhakti gandahina vishaya vyavahara. Vyavahara, again, we see that a lot, affairs. And Vishaya are the sense objects. They're caught up in the sense objects. And without a trace of devotion. Krishna Bhakti, Gandahina, Ganda is like scent. So without a scent, it's translated a trace of. But in Sanskrit-related understandings, it comes very much to direct perception of the senses. So we have, there's actually meaning behind smells, meaning behind visual situations in the countryside and so on. Rain clouds, all these things have some connection with rasa, which is, developed in dance and so many other things. But it's all based on perception of, what it is in reality. So what it is in reality is represented in this world. Behind it is the reality. And the original culture of India looked to see that reality as reflected in everything. And, to develop consciousness from there. So, anyway, Advaita Acharya is distressed. He finds the world devoid of devotion, the whole place, sakala, the whole thing, samsara, material existence, Krishna Bhakti, without any Krishna Bhakti, Gandha Hina, without the scent of, the feeling of Krishna Bhakti. He found this everywhere, so he was, not feeling very good. And this is the natural feeling of the Vaishnava, as we've discussed, that the Vaishnava knows by his own experience how wonderful reality is. And when he sees people lost out of contact with reality, especially when he descends to this world, and comes into contact with how the world is, he sees it in terms of the material world being not a good place. He feels very bad for the conditioned souls. So all these associates descended with Mahaprabhu. Means they descended and they came to the level, like the gurus, of Madhyama, where they saw the difference between the material energy as something painful and the material energy as just something wonderful coming from Krishna, which is the vision of the Uttama. So Advaita Acharya is pain. So next verse, number 97. Everyone was engaged in material enjoyment, whether sinfully or virtuously. No one was interested in the transcendental service of the Lord, which can give total relief from the repetition of birth and death. So notice he says, material enjoyment, sinful or virtuous. So that's also one of the choices. You have, sense enjoyment, material life, and then renunciation, two sides of the material coin. But each particular side has particular aspects that can be chosen. There's like the shiny part of the coin and the really grubby, dirty part of the coin that people can choose. So sinful or virtuous within the context of material enjoyment. And then those who see the whole thing as useless, but don't want to engage in service, they renounce, they withdraw. But then the vision of Advaita Acharya is that he sees, well, they're doing these things on so many different levels, and they're engaged and just distracted by their personal desire for enjoyment, and they've forgotten the transcendental service of the Lord. The third option, the option that's beyond the coin of material life, but which, by the grace of our gurus, who are coming in the line from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have access to that transcendental service, and which Kaviraj Goswami says will give total relief from the repetition of birth and death. In other words, it'll totally bring us out of it, even within this body. The body will die, but as a soul, if we know that, who cares? It's not a big deal. The soul's already got its life going on. The body is being utilized in a pure stage for nothing but service. So you just get another body, or you go where Krishna wants, and it doesn't matter, because the essence of your existence has to do with giving yourself in total to Krishna. It doesn't. The devotee, the Vaishnava, actually does not care where he goes, what he feels, anything, because in the world of Krishna, in the realm of Krishna's service, like we've read over and over again, pain and pleasure are equal. Pain and pleasure to the body, to the mind, and even pain in terms of spiritual feeling, the pain of separation. All these things are underlain with the reality of existence based on the nectar of devotion to Krishna. It's always ecstatic, though the ecstasy has variety, and some of the ecstasy is ecstatic pain. But it's still, something that's, way far removed from the pain of this world. Okay, so the Bengali. Keha pape keha punye kare vishaya bhoga bhakti ganda nahi yata yaya bhava roga. Okay. keha pape, someone engaged in sinful activities, keha punye, someone engaged in pious activities. Punya karma, good activities. Papa karma, really sinful activities. And then vishaya, that's the vishaya bhoga, that's the type of activities, whether punya, good, aiming upward, or papa, sinful, aiming downward. They're both vishaya bhoga. And then bhakti ganda, the trace of devotional service, the ganda, the scent of devotional service, nahi, yate, and why? Yaya, bhava roga. It goes away because of the disease of material existence. Oh, I see, okay. Yeah, bhakti ganda nahi. Right. Oh, no one was interested in the transcendental service, right? Bhakti ganda nahi. No one interested, which has the power to drive away the suffering of repeated birth and death. Okay. Everyone is engaged in material sense gratification, but people have no plan for making an ultimate solution to their real problems, namely birth, disease, old age, and death. These four miseries are called bhava roga, or material disease. They can be cured only by Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the greatest benediction for human society. So they're, with their science, they're touching on three of these. Birth, they're making the birth conditions more cleanly and taking more concern in the, as the baby comes out of the womb. They're working on curing disease, but, simultaneously we hear that all this work and adjustment based on material progress ultimately won't make anything really different than just a normal, simple life in a village, if it's done according to Krishna consciousness, in a pure way with cleanliness and all the proper things. Then, even if they scientifically, develop cures for one disease, another disease will rise up. This is the vision that Srila Prabhupada gave us, and we hear from all of our gurus that what he told us was Maya Sukhaya, that by the process of development in Maya, you improve one thing and another problem comes. You can't defeat the law of karma because it comes from Krishna. So there's material disease everywhere, and people not interested in the transcendental service of the Lord. So Advaita Acharya is pleading that, please, dear Lord, come and help us with this. So, similar situation in material society now, except we see the early influences of Krishna consciousness, which, of course, is predicted to rise to an eminent and finally preeminent position in the world and, in the next 10,000 years. So we get the fortune of, being in the breaking through stage. We're helping to, break through the illusion, like Srila Gurudev used to say that. Srila Prabhupada blasted a tunnel in the mountain of ego that he could enter into and do further work, further blasting. So these great souls have done this, and we're trying to continue to blast to our own capacity to enable the transformation that's predicted of human society. We're not really aimed at that. We're aimed at becoming Krishna conscious. And human society, automatically by development of Krishna consciousness, the atmosphere will change. We go out and chant Harinam Sankirtan. The name is released into the atmosphere. The name is transcendental. It doesn't go away. So it will change, gradually it will change the way people see things. Because the vibration in the atmosphere will become overcome by the power of the holy name. That's the prediction of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and so many. That Krishna consciousness will, the intellectual people will have to come to the conclusion of Krishna consciousness. Anybody who's got a brain will begin to see, because by the presence of the holy name in the atmosphere, people's intelligence will become surrounded by the holy name, and their intelligence will become refined. Like it or not, it will be like that. Okay, so here Advaita Acharya was lamenting. The service is there, but nobody's interested. Okay, so, text 98. Seeing the activities of the world, the Acharya felt compassion and began to ponder how he could act for the people's benefit. Loka gati deki Acharya karuna hriday vichara karena lokera kaichi hita hoy. The sort of serious interest in the welfare of the public makes one a bona fide Acharya. An Acharya does not exploit his followers. Since the Acharya is a confidential servant of the Lord, his heart is always full of compassion for humanity in its suffering. He knows the suffering is due to absence of devotional service, and therefore he always tries to find ways to change people's activities, making them favorable for the attainment of devotion. That is the qualification of an Acharya. So an Acharya naturally looks at the individual person, sees their nature, understands their nature, and presents Krishna consciousness in such a way so that they'll be encouraged to progress in Krishna consciousness. It's natural, In first grade, you have a lot of recess time. Is that what you call it here, recess time? Where they go out and play?
Break.
They have a lot of breaks where they go out and play and stuff. And they have, they have snacks that are kind of treats and things. And, their learning has all kinds of, happy incentives and things like that. So, kindergarten, first grade, second grade is like that. Then third, fourth grade starts to get a little tougher. You maybe start to have homework and things like that. And then, by fifth, sixth grade, you're starting to have, a little bit complicated mathematics. And by seventh grade or eighth grade, you begin to, penetrate into algebra and the setup of the governments and the geography of the world and, things like that. So, the example of development of Krishna consciousness is just like that. That's why every one of our gurus uses the example, particularly Srila Sridhar Maharaj, that this is a school, and everybody is progressing according to their degree of surrender and their progress through the swamp of material nature. So the guru sees where you are in the swamp and knows like what kind of Wellingtons you need, and knows where the pits are, where the quicksand is. We call it quicksand here also. Yeah, where the quicksand is, where you sink in and you can never get out. So the guru points out where those places are as you slog through the mud. And he's there on the shore or above in a helicopter, seeing exactly what needs to be done. Okay. So then Prabhupada talks about how these people, they have no idea that they're but dolls in the hands of material nature. And then at any moment, material nature's pitiless intrigues can crush to dust all their plans for godless activities. You know, pretty direct. Such foolish prisoners cannot see that however they improve their position by artificial means, the calamities of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age are always beyond the jurisdiction of their control. Like straight on. Srila Prabhupada is giving us, you know, the straight stuff. As to the position of people within the material world, we have got to snap out of it and realize that it's like a trap. We've been trapped in a prison, and we're decorating our cell. And we think that's all there is. And we get to relate with the prisoners. And we think that's so great to go out in the yard and play football and stuff, and then we're back in the cell again. It's just, you know, it's really unfortunate. We're in an unfortunate situation, and the Vaishnavas see it like that. These, you know, and they feel it, as we've discussed before. They come into the parameters of the world. They don't come under its influence, but within the parameters of the existence in this world, they perceive the suffering. They know it, they feel it, what it is. And they know themselves as beyond it, but nonetheless, they you know, feel the suffering of the living beings. So they have, like, you know, unimaginable deep compassion and love. And that's what they want to do. They want to help us. And sometimes they help us with a slap, and sometimes they help us with a hug. And you know, it's just like that with how Krishna arranges things. Sometimes we have to suffer and get rejected and so many things like that. And sometimes everything works out really nice. And you know, Krishna just arranges things according to our necessity. I've watched throughout, you know, my devotional life. Sometimes it seems like over and over, it just gets so bad that I can hardly take it. And I'm praying like mad to let me develop my devotion so I can, you know, get out of this. And poof, suddenly it becomes better. And then I get kind of, what's the word? Complacent, yeah. I think, oh, this is Krishna consciousness, it's fantastic. And then, boom, Krishna hits you again. And you're like in it again. Oh my God, what's going on? This material world sucks. And, you know, eventually you see that Krishna's behind it. And wow, this is Krishna's grace. And as we like practice seeing that that's Krishna's grace, it becomes visible and apparent like that. It's part, like Srila Gurudev said, it's the highest sadhana to see Krishna as our friend. Now, of course, that means we have to work towards that stage, but nonetheless, we can be conscious of it and realize that and remember that what comes to me, I deserve. What comes to me is coming to me because of me, not because of the jerk next door to you in the car, or the jerk next door in the house, or you know, the guy who's playing his rock and roll at 2 in the morning or something. Yeah. Or you know, the guy somebody who scratches your car in the parking lot, and you come out and your car's scratched, and you just saved up, you know, thousands of dollars to get this car to show off, and suddenly it's all scratched and looks like it's old, and your whole life is now, you know, collapsing around you because your car is, you know, it's. I've been there. My first car was like a VW bus, and I was on top of the world, man. Yeah. I'm driving along Watsika Avenue with a VW bus, and all the devotees are like, wow, he's got a VW bus. And I'm thinking, yeah, I got a VW bus. And then what happens? We're driving up to Badger to move. The bus is filled with all of our stuff, the kids and everything, and boom, the engine blows up. And I'm thinking, damn VW bus. What's going on with this friggin' bus? $2,000 for a new engine? Crap. I got ripped off. That's just a practical example. How it happens in the material world, even as we are devotees, sometimes. Okay. Prabhupada says, the third-class prisoners, being less material opulent than the first-class prisoners, endeavor to imitate them, for they have no information of the real nature of imprisonment. Thus, they are also misled by the illusory material nature. The function of the acharya, however, is to charge the activities of both the first-class and third-class prisoners, change, but also charge works too, by the presence of devotional life, and give them activities for their real benefit. That endeavor makes him very dear to the devotee of the Lord, who says clearly in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, that no one in human society is dearer to him than a devotee who constantly engages in his service by finding ways to preach the message of Godhead for the real benefit of the world. So, you know, we have very high realizations that are coming from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And we have books that develop Krishna consciousness in a very, very subtle and deep way. Srila Guru Maharaj is amazing. But we meet people to whom this is a very new concept. So we have to adjust our preaching in such a way to make activity in devotional life palatable. And everybody's different. So, part of being a devotee is naturally we will feel something of what Advaita Acharya is feeling here. We'll feel that we need to do this to help people. And part of that understanding, as Srila Prabhupada is telling us, is to understand that is this a third-class prisoner, a first-class prisoner? What do they need to hear to develop in Krishna consciousness? Not that we have to alter Krishna consciousness, but we have to give it in such a way so that they'll be inspired to take to it. Not to just slam the information down their throat and think that it's going to have effect. I mean, something of giving Srila Sridhar Maharaj's understanding will help their hearts. But the idea is we don't want to just help their hearts one time. We want to help it the first time, bring them back, help it the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time. And like Saraswati Thakur just told us, it's a step-by-step process. So we are on particular steps ourselves, but we have to realize that others are on different steps and try to accommodate our preaching to reach out to these types of people, to help them. That's why Srila Madhusudan Maharaj made Home Comfort, and what's the other book? The little pamphlets that are introductory.
Affectionate Guidance?
No, not Affectionate Guidance. The little pamphlet.
Original source.
Well, that also, but the little book that came with Home Comfort.
Inner fulfillment.
Inner fulfillment, yeah, that was it. So Madhusudan Maharaj, he pulled out different introductory items in the speaking of Srila Sridhar Maharaj to present them to people who are newer and would be very new to all the concepts of devotion. Because basically when Srila Sridhar Maharaj began to preach openly, he was preaching to devotees of Srila Prabhupada who had been in the mission for 7, 8 years, who'd been around for a while, and particularly someone like Goswami Maharaj, who had thoroughly read and practically memorized all of Srila Prabhupada's books. He was speaking, on a level based on experience in Krishna consciousness. So sometimes we have to translate that, and to make it, make it palatable and understandable to people in general. That's just a side point, but Srila Prabhupada is raising that. Okay. So-called acharyas of the age of Kali are more concerned with exploiting the resources of their followers than mitigating their miseries. But Sri Advaita Prabhu is an ideal acharya concerned with improving the conditions of the world situation. So, you know, on one level, it's a sinking ship, no doubt. We're on the Titanic, and it's going down, and we better get on a lifeboat. But we've got, there are people who, you know where the lifeboat is and know how to lift down into the water, and they're directing us. And they're asking us also, you help other people, you know, get out of the third-class hold down below, where, you know, where remember the doors were locked and stuff like that, and you know, break open the locks and help them get out. So that's like, you know, that's also our mission. But the idea is to, you know, to get out of the ship. We don't want to improve the ship. We want to get people directed towards the lifeboats. That's our mission. So we're concerned with improving the condition of the material world by enabling people to, you know, leave it behind. That's, you know, that's the real, you know, understanding of helping people, actually really helping people. Like Prabhupada's outlining here, whether it's punya or papa, it's still in the material world. You don't want to just make it punya and make like a wonderful place for all the, you know, people who are God, who descended here to enjoy, which they're thinking they're going to do, which is like complete material insanity. It's a, you know, it's just a material imposition onto, you know, spiritual life and spiritual conceptions, even the conception of Brahman. The real Brahmavadis, they're renouncing, you know, they're withdrawing from the temporary world. These people think they're Brahmavadis, but they think, oh, we've come here to be together and enjoy. It's just foolish. You know, as though God has to come and suffer. You know, why is there suffering? Why is there terrible tortures? Why is all these things? You know, don't realize that that's meant to indicate this is not the place. Not that, oh, we've all come to, you turn the place into paradise. It's all like a crazy dream. That's my comment on the New Age. Okay, what time is it? Oh, it's late, huh? Okay. So I have to leave this at text 99. Let me just see. Oh, I'll just say, this is what Acharya Advaita is thinking. We'll just do this really quickly. If Sri Krishna were to appear as an incarnation, he could himself preach devotion by his personal example. Acharya Advaita is thinking this. Apani Sri Krishna yadi karena avatara. Apane acharya bhakti karena prachara. Prachara, now propagate, preach. What is he preaching? Bhakti karena, or bhakti and then karena prachara, doing preaching. So he's preaching bhakti and himself, acharya, he'd be practicing devotional life. And so Krishna himself would come down, avatar, called incarnation, but really, you know, one who descends. And if Krishna does that, yadi, if Krishna does that, then everything will be helped, and the devotees will, people will become devotees by the personal example of the greatest devotee. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. The postgraduate instructor. Yeah, giving us some indication of where we need to go. Clearly, like, opening the way. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. That personality who's, living the teachings of Srila Guru Maharaj. Who, in fact, is like the personification of the perfection that Srila Prabhupada was pointing us all towards. And to whom he pointed us at the time of his departure. Jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Brinda Ki Jai. Jai. Sri Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. London Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanand.
Nyasi Maharaj Ki Jai.
Okay, Hari Haraya Kish.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Har